Hello, this is Raymond Mayfield. It's good to be with you today, and I want to talk to you today about expecting God's best in 2016. My text is going to be found in Joshua 6:20. So the people shouted when the priest blew the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. Joshua was a winner. He had two things going for him. He attempted great things for God, and he expected great things from God. He remembered the question, I'm sure, asked by his ancestor Abraham many years ago, is anything too hard for the Lord, in Genesis 18:14. Joshua was a believer, but not only a believer, but he was also a doer. And you can be a winner too. We have started a new year, and it's a time for freshness. It's a time for new beginnings. Some of us have experienced a difficult year in this year, the last 2015. Some wonder if things will get better. I bring you good news of the gospel today. Your life can be dramatically changed by the message as God speaks to your heart today. What God did for Joshua, He can do the same for you. God is no respecter of persons, and no one can be on your side more than God Himself. Ask God to begin building faith in your soul that you can make a total commitment to your life to Jesus Christ. Joshua dared great things for God. He was a winner. Winner in the game of life is very important. Joshua had determined out a long time, determined to come out on top for God, and it was a struggle. Joshua was born as a slave, and he grew up watching his mother and father beaten by cruel people, and he worked hard hauling straw and making bricks, as the king made it really rough on them. He never had a formal education. He was a slave, and the world considered him to be nothing. But God had great plans for him, and Joshua grew older. He came under the influence of Moses, perhaps the greatest man who ever lived. Then Moses was taken and went to be with the Lord, and Joshua was left to fill the gap. He had never been formally trained, but he had faithfully walked with God for 50 years. But this was the time he was convinced that God could do anything. When Joshua assumed the command, the Israelites were 3 million strong. They were about to enter the promised land, and when it's not was going to be easy. There were well-fortified cities to conquer. Have you taken time to get alone with God, to take a hard look at your life and the challenges that are before you right now? Have you found yourself bending to the things of this world? Have you allowed yourself to become mediocre? This is a brand new year. Forget the past and dare to attempt great things for God. Joshua was successful because he expected great things from God. He had already seen the parting of the Red Sea, had eaten manna from God every day. No one had to convince him that God was God. And he believed that what God had done for Moses, He would do through him. And I want to say in conclusion, what do you expect for God to do in your life this year? Are you willing to seek God about and face it? Are you willing to dedicate your life to God so that He can use you in His service? If so, you're a prime candidate for God to move deep within you. This is Raymond Mayfield. It's been a great privilege to speak to you today. I'll talk to you again real soon.